So inshallah, workshop is essentially for teachers, but there are a few who are non-teachers as well. First, I'll be covering online education techniques and common errors for teachers, followed by Dr. Nazir, who will talk on effective communication in a classroom environment. So inshallah, the overview of this presentation is going to be as follows. I'm going to introduce myself because many of you do not know me. Then there's a small research result carried out by the United States Department of Education. We're going to talk a little bit about that, followed by online platforms. Then there'll be a free trial offer plus subscription, and then it will be followed by artificial intelligence for teachers, Khan Migo, which is an amazing portal. And I would recommend all of you to see if you can get into this. Earnings by teachers. There's an how can teachers earn? There are a number of platforms, but I have selected one that I found very simple, easy, and very popular as well. And then we're going to talk on technologies that we need to use. There are multiple technologies, and every day there's new technology coming up. But I think the most important thing is that you should get into it and use whatever is handy and whatever you feel is good for you. This will be followed, and actually intermittent will also throw in some commercials about what to do and what we need to do. Sorry? Okay. All right. With that, start off with my little bit of bragging here. So bear with me. Joined PF in 1968. My course mate was Rashid Minhas, Nishan Haider. Just to give you some pictorial view and also to let you know as to what time frame. This will be, something that I always cherish. I flew for about 24 years in the Pakistan Air Force, from F-86 to F-16. And then in commercial aviation as well, about 24 years plus education, mostly related to education and online. Bear with us, those who are coming in new. It's a little hot and humid, but the ACs are on, so it will just take a few minutes. Inshallah, you'll be comfortable. After leaving the Air Force in 1992, I went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. My MBA followed by PhD. I worked, had a great opportunity to work with NASA. Did some research work. Some of my publications are already there in the Library of Congress in the United States. Air Academy is something I established over here in Pakistan after coming back from United States. Then I was CEO of Sean Air, which later became KK Aviation. I was also in the Palpa Institute of Aviation Management. And then, of course, PF Keat. We worked a little bit to establish the aviation division over there. For over 12 years, I have been involved with online teaching. First as the Ensign tutor for Shaheen Foundation, and then with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, which is continuing as we speak. So my basic credentials, I did all these things, and also got Sitara Basalat from the President of Pakistan, Alhamdulillah. I'm also a fellow of the Royal Aeronautical Society of UK. So that's about it. I don't want to spend too much time on that. But here's an interesting study by the United States Department of Education. And the study goes like this. Which is more efficient and bears better results? Online teaching or classroom face-to-face teaching? Very interesting. And the result, online was marginally better. It was not drastically better, it was marginally better. But there's a caveat. Yani there's a big but, and that is only if correct techniques are employed. In case they are not, then it's a total failure. So, ladies and gentlemen, we must learn to effectively use the tools that are available. If you don't, then it'll be a disaster. You will not be able to achieve what you really want to achieve. So online education is here to stay. That's for sure. All right. Some of the popular platforms, everybody knows about it. And these are, of course, Zoom, MS Teams, which is Microsoft Teams, and of course, the Google Meet. But we will just concentrate on Google Meet. Google Meet is something that we've been using extensively. Of course, we've also been using Zoom and Teams with Embry-Riddle that we represent on almost a regular basis. But I prefer Google Meet, and that is what we are going to talk about for now. So if you see the advantages of Google Meet, you'll see that online meetings and classes with up to 500 attendees is possible. Host control, recording, polls, question and answer sessions, breakout rooms, attendee reporting, noise cancellation. All these features are there in some form or the other in other major platforms as well. But Google is much more friendlier, easier to use. Google Chat, Google Group Chat as well. And there's also a live streaming option in the same domain of the organization up to 100,000 people. So you can actually stream to almost 1 lakh people at a time. So this is a great advantage. Now, we've been using Google for Education, which is a subscribed activity that we have with Google. And Google Workspace, it's called Training and Teaching Upgrade. That's what we have. And there is a subscription, which is approximately 50,000 per year, seeing the dollar value now. It used to be like somewhere close to 40 last year. So here's a limited offer to the first 10 teachers. You can note it down. Available to all teachers, 3,000 rupees per month with cloud recording. So if you want to use, it's a free thing. If you don't want to use cloud recording, you can use Google Meet without any problems, without any delays. But if you want Google recording, there's an effort to be done. And of course, there is space on the cloud that we have. We have 200 terabytes of cloud available to us, so we can offer it to our brother and sister training or trainers or teachers. So it's a 24-hour advance schedule, what needs to be done. Up to 2 terabytes per month can be offered, 24/7 usage, maximum usage 4 hours per day, plus limited support. Restrictions do apply. Those who are interested can get back to me at a later time. Free trial is available for everybody. Here are the tools that we all need to understand and use. There are, like I said, there are plenty of tools available today, but I find everybody knows khanmigo.ai. If not, Salman Khan is a Bengali origin youngster. For us, it is youngster. He is probably now in his late 40s or early 50s. He came up with khanacademy.com, which became the most popular education platform, which is a free platform for everybody. And of course, there's a very interesting story about him as to how he started off. He had a niece he had to teach, and the niece, along with their parents, went away from where he was. I think he was somewhere in eastern United States, probably close to Boston. And so he didn't know how to teach because the niece really wanted to be taught by him for all the lessons. So he came up with online lessons. And then the niece's friends, colleagues, neighbors, everybody joined in because they said, you know, he teaches so well, I think we need to learn from him. And of course, it was free. So he continued on, and then he asked for help from Cisco and Microsoft. First, they refused, and then ultimately millions of dollars poured in when they saw that so many students are studying and it's free of charge and all that. So very unfortunate, but this is what it is. This is a good news to have Migo AI, and I've used it. It is so exciting that you ask any question, that's what you want to do. In fact, when I logged in for the first time, it pulled up all my previous students. How on earth did they do that? I don't know. But there are hundreds and hundreds of students that came in. This is what artificial intelligence is all about. Pulling up data mining and data recovery from various different places. And within a fraction of a second, it was all there. And I could remember so many students. But the bad news for most of the Pakistanis would be that Migo.ai is moving from country to country and providing their services, and Pakistan is not yet on their map. So you cannot log in. And how did I log in? Through VPN. So virtual private network, and then I just logged in from the United States server, and I was able to log in. So I recommend, there are a number of free VPNs also, but one that I use is, windscribe.com. Windscribe.com is a very small fee associated with it, like about $2 per month or so. So I use that. But this is a good, very standard VPN. Now, some of the big players like Forbes, Fortune 500 and all, they have commented words similar to this. Forget ChatGPT. Migo provides better help for teachers using ChatGPT bot. Although it uses that, but you put in the same question in ChatGPT and put the same question in Amigo. Amigo will give you a much better personalized response. So it is, whatever prompt, I mean, the question that you put in ChatGPT is called prompt, as some of you might not know. So the prompt in Migo is extremely user-friendly. And apart from that, from lesson plans to questions, quizzes, and you name it, there are so many things that they offer. So here's a list of them. I will not get into details, but sometimes later we can talk about this and how to get into this and how we can utilize this. And so chunk testing is another very interesting thing. So whatever text that you have to deliver, it will divide you into chunk, because one of the techniques for memorization and for easy assimilation of knowledge is chunking. Chunking means basically small pieces of information at a time. That is why you see most of the online platforms, including Coursera.org and all these programs that they have are 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, maximum maybe about 10, 12 minutes or so. Small chunks. They'll never give you one straight lesson for all the way for maybe 1 hour or 2 hours. No such thing. All in chunks. So it breaks down the entire thing for you. So this is something that you need to look into. This is what I told you. You ask a question in Migo, and the chatbot will guide you towards creating your own answers. So here's a commercial break. Like I told you in the initial thing, that there will always be, after a few minutes, there will be a commercial break. So whenever you're seeing on YouTube, which is free, and watching something, after some time you have a commercial break, right? So bear with me.
A movie बनी थी राशिद विनाश. So you are welcome. Come and see. जब आप आते हैं तो आपको पता चलता है कि exactly है क्या. Dr. Mughni is here. Here we are showing you a very unique program in the aviation industry. Aviation Institute of Management is offering a unique opportunity for our young generation to make their career in aviation. We are thinking out of the box and offering our new generation to start this program right from the secondary schooling, from 6th grade to O level. We named it as the Aviators.
All right. So some glossary of terms before we get into online education. We need to know these terms because this will be used quite extensively. Number one is LMS Sandbox. So a show of thumbs up on, so we have about what, 37 candidates on the online. And so show me thumbs up if you know what is LMS Sandbox. Anybody over here knows what is LMS Sandbox? You know it. Okay, good. So very few people, but that's okay. So we'll very briefly, sandbox, you know what a sandbox is? The children play, there's a box, you put sand in it, and then they play with different toys in it. And that's what it is called, sandbox. But once they use it in LMS, which is Learning Management System on online, then essentially it gives you the option to play around with the application and find out, what are the things that you can do, or what are the limitations. And so it's just like playing around within the boundaries of that platform. So LMS Sandbox that's what it is. So it's a software environment that allows full or nearly full use of the LMS or learning system to test functionality, processes, and workflows, right? Then there's a very common word, again, being used extensively. It's called synchronous and asynchronous. I'm sure many of you must be aware of it. If not, here we go. Synchronous essentially means that you are live in person talking to somebody. That is synchronous. Instructors and students gathering at the same time. It could be virtual as well as physical. Even physical is called synchronous. And this interaction is real time. So when somebody is talking, like we are talking to, I'm talking to all those who are present over here, and online as well as physical. So this is synchronous. And asynchronous, on the other hand, is learning refers to students are given material. Like it could be videos, it could be books, it could be some sort of informative lecture or something that they see or look or read. That is asynchronous. There's no live interaction. So these two terms are used extensively as well. Now, this is something which is becoming very, very common and very much talked about. Just one moment. I've lost it. Okay. So Turnitin. Turnitin is a software application, but what it does, most of the students these days and the instructors and the management and faculty and everybody is worried because you give them an assignment and they'll go to Chat GPT, get that thing in a matter of few seconds, and then dish it out to the instructors. So to avoid that, if the instructor puts that paper in Turnitin, then this is what it'll detect AI technology and then proficiently distinguishing AI and the human written text, and is specialized for student writing. So basically, what this software is doing is detecting plagiarism, right? That you have not done it yourself. You have used either copy paste, or essentially even in Chat GPT, you will do copy paste. You will put in the prompt and then get the answers and then copy that and submit. So it will detect immediately that this has come through Chat GPT or any other AI. It's not a human thing. So even paraphrasing, like, I mean, you change the sentence into your own words, even then it detects that you have done paraphrasing, which is amazing, actually. And there's another software that has come up to counter it, and that is called, I think I've misspelled it over here. It is Stealth GPT, STEALTH, just like the stealth aircraft that are not detected by the radar. So stealth means going in a fashion that you cannot be detected. So stealthgpt.ai is a software that bypasses Turnitin and gives you an option to use that as well. But both these packages are paid versions. So a student has to dish out some money to get that. And also to counter that, also another one is OneClickHuman.com. Now, OneClickHuman.com is charging a lot more, like about $10 for 50,000 words. And what they do is you pick up from ChatGPT, you go to OneClick Human, and then it will be as if you had written it. So beat the system. In Air Force, you have electronic countermeasures. Countermeasures are basically when an aircraft is going across the enemy lines, it is being detected by the radar. But the countermeasure does is that it blocks the radar so that you're not detected. And then there is countermeasures. So they have certain measures that will not let others block you. So this is also electronic countermeasures in one form. All right, some other things that are being used in aviation again is blended learning. Blended learning is a very, very common as well as extensively used term. Blended learning essentially means that you're blending the online as well as physical. So most of the, especially asynchronous as well as some synchronous, but essentially for asynchronous, that means you've given some videos, but at the end of the week or something, you come and talk with the either online or physically with the students and try to clarify as to what they did. Was it correct? Did they understand? And so on and so forth. So blended learning is the term given to the educational practice of combining digital learning tools with more traditional classroom face-to-face. All right. But one of the things is called flipped classroom. This is also being used. It is, in fact, one of the most common form of blended learning. And flipped classroom is essentially that you basically, what you do is you give tutorials or video lessons, the students study, and then they come back, and then there is no teaching, but it's all discussions, right? You're discussing what you had, the material that you had given them. So this is a flipped classroom concept of blended learning, and there are many other types of blended learning as well. You know, I'll not get into details. We can talk a lot because this is a lecture in itself. Flex learning, meaning flexibility to the students. Self-paced learning, they do it learning on their own time. Enriched virtual model and stuff like that. So let's move on to another term called micro learning. This is also a form of blended learning, micro learning. Micro learning is in chunks. Micro learning can be defined as presenting learning content in small, focused, and easily digestible units. You know, if you give them a lot of material, chances are that a lot of it will not be absorbed, will not be understood. But if you give them in small chunks, they will not only understand, they will also remember it for a longer period of time. Then all teachers, whether in the physical classroom or in online, need to be aware of cognitive overload. What is cognitive overload? You give them something which it's very difficult for them to remember, or it's beyond their comprehension and understanding. They get overwhelmed by the flow of information that is given to them, and this is sometimes very common with our teachers. You just babble out all the material that you have without ensuring that it has been understood or not. So this can be of two types: the intrinsic, which is within the content. Sorry, okay, which could be within the content. And the other thing is that am I offline? I think I'm offline.
Sir, I can hear you, but the presentation is not showing.
Presentation is not showing. Okay, give me 1 second to check that. Resume a presentation. Resume presentation. Like, why on earth did it happen? Marvels of technology. Okay, here we go. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Intrinsic and extrinsic, we have to be aware. Sometimes cognitive overload is not necessarily intrinsic. Intrinsic means the content itself. The content, whatever that you are teaching, is so much beyond the capability of the students that he gets overloaded, right? And the extrinsic is also very important, that we pay very little attention. Extrinsic is when your content is presented in a fashion or in a mode that has a lot of distractions. Like you filled up, it's a very busy slide. You one slide, but there may be like 30 or 40 lines in it. The font that you're using is maybe number 10 or 11, and it's very difficult to read. That is also cognitive overload. So that's extraneous cognitive overload. Okay, here are some presentation tips as we go. Generally, they say that you should have a lot of white spaces and make sure that every image and graphical element that you use enhances learning. So, this is something essentially reducing the cognitive load. But there are many other presentation techniques and things that you must keep in mind, but our focus is not on that. So some of the technologies that we need to use also that I recommend strongly is bamboozle.com. Has a double A in it. BAAM boozle.com, bamboozle.com. This is gamification. They believe that we don't do this too often. Whatever that we're teaching your kids or your students, make it into some kind of a game. And that way they will learn much better, much faster, and also retain that much more. So Bamboozle, it's an easy way to make your own teaching games. This is also very user-friendly, and I found it that even for small children like 5th grade, 6th grade and all, it is very useful. You can, like in maths or English or many other things, you can use it. Similarly, you can come up with riddles. Here's a riddle. Let's see if anybody can come up with it. Forwards, I'm heavy. Backwards, I'm not. What am I? Forwards, I'm heavy. Backwards, I'm not. What am I? Anybody? क्या हो सकता है? जी? Aircraft. Forwards, I'm heavy. Backwards, I'm not. It is actually ton. T-O-N, ton. 1 ton is heavy when you read it in one way, but from the other way, if you read it, it is N-O-T, not. So forwards, I'm heavy. Backwards, I'm not. So, I mean, these are some of the riddles that are given in Bamboozle itself. So in the lecture, you can include these things as a short break for the students to change the momentum of overload. Also, I use very extensively myself. Is called the Epic Pen. Epic Pen is something that you can use. This is how it looks. Maybe I can actually physically use it and show it to you. Alaikum salam. Okay. And this is something that just floats on top. So you can very conveniently use it wherever you want. Okay, this is the thing. You can just pick it up and place it somewhere that you want. Like I can place it over here on one side. I can pick up an ink of my choice, let's say red, and then I can write whatever I want to write. So even if you're showing a video, or even if you're on google.com and you are looking at something that you want to show your students, over there also you can write it. If you want, you can save it on that, or if you want to not to save it, you can just erase it, and that's just not a problem. So either way, this is a very interesting tool that teachers must use. I strongly recommend that. Okay. Okay, give me 1 second. Like this. Okay. And then you have quizzes. This is also very interesting. QUIZIZZ or IZZ.com, right? This gives you a number of options, especially for primary and secondary school. This is super. Maths, English, social studies, languages. And in languages, it gives you in Urdu also. Not many platforms do that. It is also, if you want to make, if you're teaching Urdu, it'll help you make quizzes in Urdu itself. So this is certainly something that I would recommend. Here comes something that most of the people would be interested in. This is how you make dollars. Interested? Yes? No? Maybe? Okay. It's free to join. Let me see. Ignore. All right. It's free to join, and you can actually make decent money on this. And what they are offering is every teacher, anybody who wants to teach, can get into preply.com. And then the first student that you get, you put in your own profile, you put your video there, a short clip on the portal itself, and then the students will come in. You put your, how much are you going to charge per hour or per lesson, something like this, and then they give you the 100% for the first one, and then subsequently they take 33%. As your volume keeps going up, it comes down to 18%. So they will just keep 18%, and you will get the rest of the money. So if it is like $100 that you receive in your tuition, then they will just keep $18, and $72 would be given back to you. That's a good one. So similar ones are there. There are actually 4 or 5 different ones that are very popular. iTalki is also another one, but that's mostly for language teaching. And then there are a few others that I did not really mention. Okay, who is aware of Pomodoro Effect? Another very very interesting and very important research that have been studied and proven for assimilation of knowledge. Pomodoro is actually in Italian, it's a tomato. Tomato ko kehte hain. And this behavioral scientist who was studying how do students, what time is an average time for students to understand and keep their attention to a particular topic. They found out that it takes only on the average around 25 minutes, but it could be, some students would be like, they may stop giving full attention after 23 minutes, others maybe 27 minutes, but the average is around 25 minutes. So unconsciously, you might have noticed that I also divert away from what we are talking about for a short while after every few minutes. And Barbara Oakley is the person, and I have the honor of personally being taught by her and also interacted with her. In fact, she does it for the students. And I asked her, would it be applicable for teachers too? And she said, absolutely. So teachers must also keep in mind that after about 20-25 minutes, the attention span is going to reduce drastically. So even if she says, even if you're reading a novel, then you should just give yourself a break after 25 minutes on the average, and maybe take a short walk or drink a cup of tea or a glass of water or something, and then get back. You will be able to understand much better and retain much better. So this is a Pomodoro effect. It's talking about essentially the same thing. This is an alarm clock which is made like a tomato. So after 25 minutes, it automatically rings, telling you that 25 minutes are over, take a break. So you just, when you start studying, turn it on, and then after 25 minutes, it'll tell you that, yes, 25 minutes are over, you need to take a little break. So this is what the Pomodoro effect is. It's good for students as well as for teachers to keep in mind. So 12 strategies for online teaching. Some of these strategies we already know, but some of the things are good to repeat and understand and keep it in mind. So know the technology. Know the technology. Give me just 1 second. Okay, so I'm back. Obviously, knowing technology, unless you know technology, you'll not be able to utilize it. So the research that I talked about in the beginning, that online learning is marginally better than face-to-face, only if you're using the correct technology and using it effectively. If you're not doing it, then online is less effective than face-to-face. All right. So you must know the technology. I'm looking for my stylus pen so that I could use it. Anyway. Okay, expect the unexpected. All right, this is something, we should always plan, and you should have a plan, bravo, because either your video is not working, sometimes the internet connection is weak, sometimes the platform that you're using might have some glitches. Somebody's mic is on, please turn it off. Yeah, you can turn it on. All right, then the third thing is to create and maintain a strong presence. What does it mean, strong presence? It essentially means that when you are having something, you must, even if it's a regular class, etc., interact with the students and inform them that this is what we are going to study and this is what is coming up for the lessons. They will be excited and prepared to receive that information or knowledge. Show your profile characteristic traits. Very important. As a teacher, if you just come up and talk, you may not be as effective as compared to somebody who has told them that, like if you're a maths teacher, you want to tell them that you've done masters in maths and you have been, this is what you have achieved and stuff like that little bit. If you're in biology or something, you talk about that. So, that is exactly what I did when we started the lecture over here. I told you about myself. So chances are that you would listen to me. In fact, my marketing instructor, I still remember when I was doing my MBA in Riddles, he said, if everybody is selling something. So the child also, when he gets into this world, he cries, and that basically he is selling his need for getting whatever he wants, right? So everybody is selling. So he says, if you're selling something, you need to first sell yourself. If you're conveying your message, that's what you're selling as a teacher, then you need to first sell yourself as to who you are, right? So show your profile characteristics without hesitation. Establish comfort zone and make a learner's community. Comfort zone, unless their students are comfortable with you, especially online, you cannot see them, but you can only hear them. So unless you react and interact with them on a very regular basis during the lesson itself, chances are that the comfort zone will not be there. They will be hesitant to ask questions. Consider Pomodoro Effect. So that's what we talked about. Pomodoro Effect every 25 minutes. Make sure that you give a short break and then move on. Or you play a video, or you do something interesting, like maybe a joke, maybe a riddle or something like that. So continuing on, set clear expectation. Now, rubrics is something that in America, everybody follows that. The student's rubric is nothing but the student knows as to how am I going to be graded? What am I expectations from this course or this class? So that you have to make it very clear from the very beginning, that this is what we expect you to do, and this is how we will grade you. How will you get an A? What are the characteristics? And this is called rubrics. So rubrics must be very clear, and that those are the expectations that the students will be very clear about. Promote asynchronous discussions. Now, generally, what happens is you're discussing live in a online classroom, obviously, but asynchronous would be he's writing in the chat. He's not directly interacting with you. When he's writing in the chat, he's much more likely to ask a question which he was hesitant in asking physically. So asynchronous discussions are something that are recommended. Active leader to active observer. Basically, when you start a class, you are actually leading the students. But as the class moves on, you are becoming an observer. Let the students come up with more actions, questions, discussions, and let them lead. So in a classroom environment, active leader to active observer. And then regular periodic polls, quizzes, etc., are required. Chunk lessons, that means small portion of lessons. Always check new content and new resources, especially in the online domain, in the business of online teaching. New technology is coming all the time, and it is something that is, here's a commercial break again. That's Pomodoro Effect, right? Here we go.
इल्म वो शमा है जो अंधेरे को दूर करती है। तालीम बच्चे का मुस्तकबिल। क्या आपके बच्चे कल के लिए तैयार हैं? सिर्फ किताबों से नहीं, कुछ करके सीखना होगा। आपके बच्चे भी आला तालीम के हकदार हैं। बच्चों के ख्वाबों को हकीकत में बदलें। आइए हम मिलकर बच्चों का मुस्तकबिल बनाएं। एविएटर स्कूल, जहां तालीम के साथ अच्छा माहौल भी है, आज ही रजिस्टर करें।
Okay, so this is the last one for my presentation, and after that I will hand over to Nazir Saab. This is the last of the commercials and last item on the presentation today. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for coming here, joining us, and listening.